Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy. As Annika carefully applied the mascara, she couldn't help but marvel at the changes she'd seen in Brooke over the past few weeks. The sullen, withdrawn boy she'd first met was fading away, replaced by a young woman who was gradually coming into her own. "There," Annika said, leaning back to admire her work. "What do you think?" Brooke turned to look in the mirror, her mouth falling open in surprise. "Wow," she breathed. It's like I'm seeing myself for the first time." Annika felt a lump form in her throat, remembering her own first experiences with makeup. "It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Now you want to give it a try?" Brooke nodded eagerly, taking the mascara wand with slightly trembling hands. As she carefully applied it to her other eye, her tongue poking out in concentration, Annika felt a surge of pride and affection. "You're doing great," she encouraged. "Just remember, practice makes perfect, and there's no rush. This is all about exploring and having fun." As they continued with the makeup lesson, experimenting with different shades of eyeshadow and lip gloss, Annika couldn't help but reflect on how far they'd both come. She remembered her own early days of transition, the fear and uncertainty that had plagued her. But here she was now, confident and happy in her own skin, able to help someone else on that same journey. "Annika?" Brooke's voice pulled her from her thoughts. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course," Annika replied, setting down the blush brush she'd been holding. "What's on your mind?" Brooke bit her lip, a familiar look of uncertainty crossing her face. How did you know when you were ready to come out to everyone? Like at school and stuff?" Annika took a deep breath, considering her answer carefully. "That's a really personal decision, Brooke. For me, it was when the pain of hiding who I was became greater than the fear of what people might say or do. But everyone's journey is different." Brooke nodded slowly, absorbing this. I think I might be getting close to that point. The idea of going back to school in the fall and pretending to be someone I'm not, it feels impossible." Annika reached out, squeezing Brooke's hand gently. "Whatever you decide, and whenever you decide it, I'll be here to support you, and so will your mom. You're not alone in this, okay?" Brooke smiled, a look of determination settling over her features. "I know, and that makes all the difference." As they turned back to their makeup experimentation, Annika felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy for Brooke, but she was determined to be there every step of the way, offering the kind of support and understanding she had wished for during her own transition. The summer days stretched on, each one bringing new discoveries and challenges for Brooke. Annika watched with pride as her young friend grew more confident, more comfortable in her own skin with each passing week. One particularly warm afternoon found them in Brooke's backyard, music playing softly from a portable speaker as they lounged in the dappled shade of an old oak tree. Brooke was wearing a sundress, her newly pierced ears adorned with small, sparkly studs. "So," Annika said, propping herself up on her elbows, "have you given any more thought to what you want to do about school in the fall?" Brooke nodded, a mix of determination and apprehension in her eyes. I think I want to go back as myself, as Brooke." Annika felt a surge of pride. "That's incredibly brave, you know that?" Brooke shrugged, picking at a blade of grass. "I'm scared," she admitted. But the thought of pretending to be someone I'm not for another year, I just can't do it." Annika nodded, understanding. "It's okay to be scared, but remember, you've got a whole support system behind you. Your mom, me, and I bet there are resources at school, too." "Yeah," Brooke said, a small smile tugging at her lips. "Mom's already talked to the principal and the guidance counselor. They've been really supportive." "That's great," Annika enthused. "And hey, if you ever need backup, just say the word. I'll come march into that school and give anyone who gives you trouble a piece of my mind." Brooke laughed, the sound light and carefree in a way Annika had rarely heard before. "My own personal bodyguard, huh?" "You bet," Annika grinned. Nobody messes with my little sister." Brooke's eyes widened at that, a look of surprise and joy spreading across her face. "Sister," she repeated softly. Annika felt a flicker of uncertainty. "Is that okay? I mean, I know we're not actually related, but—" Her words were cut off as Brooke launched herself forward, wrapping Annika in a tight hug. "It's more than okay," Brooke murmured, her voice thick with emotion. "It's perfect." As they sat there in the warm afternoon sun, Annika felt a sense of contentment wash over her. She thought back to that first day when she and her mother had arrived in this new town, full of uncertainty and hope. She could never have imagined then how things would unfold, how she would find not just a friend in Brooke, but a sister, a kindred spirit. The journey ahead would have its challenges, Annika knew. There would be difficult days, moments of doubt and fear. But as she looked at Brooke, saw the hope and determination shining in her eyes, Annika felt a renewed sense of purpose. Together, they would face whatever came their way, two sisters united by a shared experience and an unbreakable bond. As the summer drew to a close, the anticipation of the new school year hung in the air like a tangible presence. Brooke's nervousness was palpable, but so was her determination. Annika watched with pride as her young friend prepared for this monumental step in her journey. One evening, about a week before school was set to start, Annika found herself sitting on Brooke's bed, surrounded by a whirlwind of clothes, accessories, and school supplies. Brooke stood in front of her closet, a look of mild panic on her face. "I don't know what to wear," she groaned, rifling through hangers. "Everything feels wrong." Annika smiled sympathetically, remembering her own first-day jitters. "Take a deep breath," she advised. "Remember, you're not trying to prove anything to anyone. You're just being you." Brooke turned, her eyes wide and vulnerable. "But what if they don't accept me? What if they—" "Hey," Annika said softly, standing up and placing her hands on Brooke's shoulders. "Listen to me. You are strong, you are brave, and you are beautiful. Anyone who can't see that isn't worth your time or energy." Brooke nodded, taking a shaky breath. "You're right. I know you're right. It's just scary," Annika finished for her. "I know, but you've got this, and you've got a whole team behind you, remember?" A small smile tugged at Brooke's lips. Yeah, I do." They spent the next hour picking out the perfect outfit, a soft, flowing skirt paired with a cute top, comfortable shoes, and just the right accessories. As Brooke looked at herself in the mirror, Annika could see the confidence building in her posture, in the set of her shoulders. "There she is," Annika said softly. Brooke in all her glory. Brooke turned, tears shimmering in her eyes. "I couldn't have done this without you, you know. Any of it." Annika felt her own eyes welling up. "You're stronger than you know, Brooke. I just helped you see what was already there." They hugged then, a long, tight embrace filled with all the words they couldn't quite express: gratitude, love, sisterhood. As Annika headed home that night, she felt a mixture of emotions swirling inside her. Pride for how far Brooke had come, nervousness for the challenges that lay ahead, and a deep, abiding love for the bond they'd formed. The night before the first day of school, Annika's phone buzzed with a text from Brooke. "I'm freaking out. Can't sleep. What if I can't do this?" Annika's heart ached with empathy. She quickly typed out a reply. "You can do this. You're Brooke and you're amazing. Remember to breathe, and remember I'm just a phone call away if you need me. Always." A moment later, another text came through. "Thanks, sis. Love you." Annika smiled, warmth spreading through her chest. "Love you too, little sis. Now get some sleep." The next morning dawned bright and clear. Annika woke early, unable to shake her own nervous energy. She knew this day was Brooke's to face, but she couldn't help feeling invested in the outcome. As she sipped her coffee by the window, she spotted Brooke emerging from her house across the street. Even from a distance, Annika could see the mix of fear and determination in her posture. Without thinking, Annika found herself hurrying out the front door. "Brooke!" she called out. Brooke turned, surprise and relief washing over her face as Annika jogged across the street. "Hey," Annika said, slightly out of breath. I wanted to wish you good luck. Not that you need it." Brooke's lips quirked into a small smile. "Thanks, I'm terrified." Annika nodded, understanding. "I know, but you've got this. You're Brooke, and you're incredible. Don't let anyone make you feel otherwise, okay?" Brooke nodded, taking a deep breath. "Okay, I can do this." "You can," Annika affirmed. "And hey, text me if you need anything. I mean it. Anything at all." They hugged briefly, and then Brooke was off, her backpack slung over one shoulder, her head held high despite the tremor in her hands. Annika watched her go, a lump forming in her throat. She remembered her own first day back at school after transitioning, the fear, the uncertainty, but also the exhilaration of finally being true to herself. As Brooke disappeared around the corner, Annika sent up a silent wish to the universe. Let her be safe, she thought. Let her be accepted. Let her find her place. The day seemed to crawl by. Annika found herself checking her phone obsessively, both dreading and hoping for a message from Brooke. But as the hours ticked by with no word, she tried to take it as a good sign. No news is good news, right? Finally, late in the afternoon, Annika heard the sound of footsteps approaching her house. She peered out the window to see Brooke walking up the driveway, her posture a mix of exhaustion and something else. Relief? Pride? Annika hurried to open the front door before Brooke could even knock. "Hey," she said softly, taking in Brooke's appearance. Her makeup was slightly smudged, and her hair had lost some of its early morning perfection, but there was a light in her eyes that hadn't been there that morning. "Can I come in?" Brooke asked, her voice hoarse. Annika nodded, stepping aside to let her pass. They made their way to the living room, where Brooke sank onto the couch with a heavy sigh. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Annika perched on the edge of the coffee table, watching Brooke's face carefully. "So," she finally ventured. "How was it?" Brooke took a deep breath, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her skirt. "It was intense," she said at last. "There were some stares, some whispers. A couple of kids I thought were my friends wouldn't even look at me." Annika felt a flare of protective anger, but she kept her voice calm. "I'm so sorry, Brooke. That must have been really hard." Brooke nodded, but then a small smile tugged at her lips. "But you know what? There were good things, too. My homeroom teacher called me Brooke without hesitating. And this girl in my English class, Zoe, she came up to me at lunch and told me she thought I was really brave." Annika felt a surge of relief and pride. "That's wonderful, Brooke. See? You're not alone." "Yeah," Brooke agreed, her smile growing a little. "And in my last period, we had to do these stupid icebreaker introductions, you know? Where you say your name and something about yourself." Annika nodded, remembering similar exercises from her own school days. "Well," Brooke continued, "when it was my turn, I stood up and I said, 'I'm Brooke and I'm transgender.' Just like that. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out, but I did it." Tears sprang to Annika's eyes. "Brooke, that's incredible. I'm so proud of you." Brooke's own eyes welled up. "It was scary, but it felt right, like I was finally being honest, you know?" Annika nodded, reaching out to squeeze Brooke's hand. "I know exactly what you mean. That feeling, it never really goes away. Every time you stand up for yourself, every time you live your truth, it's like coming home to yourself." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, both lost in thought. Then Brooke spoke again, her voice soft but determined. "I know it's not going to be easy. There were definitely some kids who looked not so friendly. But for the first time in, well, ever, I feel like I'm really me, like I'm not playing a part anymore." Annika felt her heart swell with pride and love for this brave young woman. That feeling is worth fighting for, Brooke, and you've got people in your corner ready to fight alongside you. Brooke nodded, wiping at her eyes. I know, and that makes all the difference. As the afternoon light began to fade, casting long shadows across the living room, Annika and Brooke continued to talk. They discussed strategies for handling difficult situations, laughed about some of the more awkward moments of the day, and made plans for the future. When Brooke finally stood to leave, she paused at the door, turning back to Annika with a serious expression. Thank you, she said softly, for everything. I don't know if I could have done this without you. Annika pulled her into a tight hug. You're stronger than you know, Brooke, but I'm honored to be part of your journey. As she watched Brooke walk back across the street, Annika felt a profound sense of purpose. She had come to this town looking for a fresh start, a place to build a new life. What she had found was so much more, a chance to make a real difference, to help someone else find their way just as others had helped her. The road ahead would have its challenges, Annika knew. But as she closed the door and leaned against it, a smile spread across her face. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Two sisters, bound not by blood but by shared experience and unwavering support. The next few weeks passed in a blur of new routines and adjustments. Annika found herself falling into a rhythm work at the bookstore during the day, then afternoons and evenings often spent with Brooke, helping with homework or just providing a listening ear. One crisp afternoon in early October, Annika and Brooke decided to take advantage of the beautiful weather and head to the park. As they walked, Brooke filled Annika in on the latest school drama, who was dating whom, which teachers were being particularly tough, and how she was slowly but surely finding her place in the social landscape. Oh, and guess what? Brooke said, a hint of excitement in her voice. The drama club is putting on a play for the fall festival. They're doing A Midsummer Night's Dream. Annika raised an eyebrow, intrigued. That sounds fun. Are you thinking of auditioning? Brooke bit her lip, hesitating. I kind of want to. I used to love being in plays in middle school before, well, you know, but I don't know if I should. Why not? Annika asked gently, already suspecting the answer. What if they don't want me there? Brooke said softly, her eyes fixed on the path ahead. What if the other kids don't feel comfortable with me in the dressing room? Or if the audience... Annika stopped walking, turning to face Brooke. Hey, she said firmly, waiting until Brooke met her eyes. You have every right to be there, to audition, to participate fully in school life. You are Brooke, and you are an actress if you want to be. Don't let fear hold you back from something you love. Brooke nodded slowly, a small smile tugging at her lips. You're right. I know you're right. It's just... sometimes it's hard to remember that... I know, Annika said softly, but that's what you've got me for, right? To remind you when you forget. They resumed walking, the conversation shifting to lighter topics. But Annika could see the wheels turning in Brooke's mind, could almost feel the determination building. A week later, Annika's phone buzzed with a text from Brooke. I did it! I auditioned! They're posting the cast list tomorrow! I'm freaking out! Annika felt a surge of pride and excitement. She quickly typed out a reply. That's amazing, Brooke. I'm so proud of you. No matter what happens, you were brave enough to try. That's a win in itself. The next day seemed to crawl by. Annika found herself checking her phone obsessively, waiting for news. Finally, late in the afternoon, another text came through. I got a part. I'm playing Hermia. Is this real life? Annika let out a whoop of joy, startling a customer who was browsing nearby. She quickly apologized before firing off a response. It's real. You did it, Brooke. I'm so incredibly proud of you. We need to celebrate. That evening found them at the local ice cream parlor, Brooke's eyes shining with excitement as she recounted every detail of the audition and the moment she saw her name on the cast list. I can't believe it, she said for what must have been the 10th time, taking another bite of her sundae. I mean, Hermia is a big part, and they chose me." "Of course they did," Annika said warmly. "Because you're talented and you worked hard. This is just the beginning, Brooke. You're going to do amazing things." As they walked home under a sky full of stars, Annika felt a profound sense of joy. Watching Brooke blossom, seeing her gain confidence and embrace her true self, it was more rewarding than anything Annika had ever experienced. The weeks leading up to the play were a whirlwind of rehearsals, costume fittings, and late-night line memorization sessions. Annika found herself roped into helping Brooke run lines, often taking on multiple roles as they worked through scenes. One evening, as they sat on Brooke's bed surrounded by highlighted scripts and empty mugs of tea, Brooke suddenly looked up with a serious expression. "Annika," she said softly, "can I ask you something?" Annika set down her script, giving Brooke her full attention. "Of course. What's on your mind?" Brooke took a deep breath, her fingers fidgeting with the corner of a page. "Do you ever... is it normal to sometimes feel like you're not trans enough?" Annika felt a pang in her chest, recognizing the uncertainty in Brooke's voice. "Oh, Brooke," she said gently. "That's such a common feeling. I've definitely struggled with it myself." Brooke nodded, looking relieved to hear she wasn't alone. "It's just, sometimes I worry that because I didn't always know, or because I still like some boy things, that maybe I'm not real enough." Anika reached out, taking Brooke's hand in hers. "Listen to me, okay? There's no one way to be trans. Your journey is your own, and it's just as valid as anyone else's. You don't have to fit into some predefined box to be real enough." Tears welled up in Brooke's eyes. "But what if I'm making a mistake? What if this is all just confusion, or—" "Brooke," Annika said firmly, "the fact that you're questioning, that you're thinking so deeply about this, that's a sign of how real and important this is to you. Cis people don't generally spend this much time worrying about their gender identity." A small laugh escaped Brooke's lips. "I guess that's true. And you know what?" Annika continued. "It's okay to explore, to question, to not have all the answers right away. Your identity might evolve over time, and that's perfectly normal. The important thing is to be true to yourself in each moment." Brooke nodded slowly, absorbing Anika's words. "Thanks," she said softly. "I don't know what I'd do without you." Annika pulled her into a hug. "You'd figure it out," she said, "because you're strong and amazing, but I'm glad I get to be here for you." Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more wonderful content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.